Hi everybody, my name is Max Maker and this week I'm going to show you how I moved this workshop, my old workshop, into my new workshop, which is much bigger and not as cramped as what you see here. This was very useful and I liked the space, but it was just too cramped. I didn't have enough space in the middle and I needed something a little bit bigger to work with. So I moved to a new place, and underneath that place is a big parking garage, of which I've got 2 spots where I can store all my stuff. And this is it. When I moved in, there were just some old crates lying around, and I started by putting in the electrics because I need a lot of power for all the tools. So I used these sockets here, and there's a light switch, and I also got some waggle clips. These are really nice to connect cables. You just lift up these little things into the cable, put them back down, and then you have a good connection. So yeah, I started with the lights, so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, and then I moved on to installing the sockets. And that just required drilling a ton of holes and putting dowels in there. Luckily these walls are pure concrete, so that was really nice. I get always a really good connection with whatever I hang up. And yeah, hanging this up is not that difficult, it's just time consuming. It took me about 2 days to put in all the electrics. I had help from a friend, which was really nice, you know, working not on your own. Because sometimes it's just really difficult to hang up large things, and if you have 2 sets of hands doing that, it's much easier. So after I mounted these sockets, I connected them all with cables, and the cables in Germany go into these plastic conduits, which go into these clips. I know in America they use metal conduits, I think, but here it's perfectly acceptable to just use these plastic conduits. And all of the cables meet in this corner, and from here they go to the main switch panel. I grouped these sockets in such a way that I had 3 different groups with 3 different circuit breakers. So if one circuit trips, it's just that circuit and not all the tools. And the lights also get their own circuit. So in case my table saw, for example, trips the breaker, it's not pitch black suddenly. So there you have all the cables. And now I could put up this cabinet that I built in the previous video, and I put this up as soon as possible so I could organize the space a little better, put some tools in there. I wanted to have as many sockets available, so I put them all around the perimeter of this car parking space. And that meant also putting some above the car parking space entry. So this is this socket, and I've also got one here on the left on this pilar, and this is where my table saw is gonna go. Because it's just nice to have cables everywhere you need them. Next up was dust collection, and for that I'm just using these regular water pipes that we use in Germany, and they have a little seal at the top, and they're waterproof and of course also airproof, so you don't smell any of the sewage. So first I laid them out roughly like I planned them to be, and I made sure they are big radii in the corners, so the particles can have a smooth part to the dust collector and not a lot of friction. At first I wanted to mount these pipes in front of the wall, but then I thought I can just put them behind there. They're just bicycles stored there, so these walls don't have to be barren. So I thought maybe I could put the pipe in there like this and just have 2 outlets. That would save me a whole lot of pipes, and that's what I did. So it's right there. It's a bit unconventional with all these radii, but I think it's very good for air connection. And just like the sockets, I put these outlets everywhere around the workshop. And up here I had to move them up on the ceiling because right in front of me right here will be the tool wall where all the tools will be hanging. And I also put some on the ceiling, so if I put the CNC in the middle, I have dust collection up there as well. This is not quite done yet. I need to put some end stops on there. And later on I will probably build some blast gates one day. And I mounted my shop vac and the dust collector cyclone on the other side of the wall so I don't have the noise, and it's also high up on the wall so it doesn't use any floor space. And while I was drilling these big holes, I also drilled some big holes for the miter saw sled, so I don't waste a lot of space. This is a controversial thing, I've already found out on Instagram, but you know, let me think what you think about it. I think it's a genius idea. It is a workshop, so of course I need some workbenches, and for that I bought some wood. This is 40mm birch that I just mounted against the concrete walls with these angle brackets. And that's super sturdy, and in the middle of the workplace I wanted a mobile cart. So I got this 38mm plywood, and the plywood on top has a resin cover, so it's waterproof, and they use this to cast concrete in Europe. And for the legs, I just bought these legs on Amazon. I think they were 50 euros each. Really good quality, really sturdy, and I figured it would be easier and faster than building something out of wood myself. And I'm quite happy with this. It's mobile, it's functional, and it's a good height to work on. I covered this workbench with some rubber. I got this on eBay. It wasn't very expensive. I think I paid 40 euros for the whole roll. And that's nice because now I can put some delicate furniture down on here, and I can make sure it doesn't get scratches or anything like that. And probably the main feature of this workshop is the tool wall. So I want to hang up all these tools up on the wall so I can see them and they're not hidden away in drawers. And for that I wanted something special that looks nice. In the old workshop I just had a piece of plywood mounted to the wall. I think it was just OSB. And then I put some screws and nails in there as holders for the tools. And that turned out to be really effective. But I didn't want to use just plywood, so I thought I can use a piece of really big polycarbonate. And polycarbonate is like acrylic or perspex, as some people know it, but polycarbonate doesn't break. So it's clear, but it doesn't break or chip or crack ever. This is the stuff that riot shields are made out of. And it's 6 millimeters, so it fits perfectly into these aluminum extrusions that I have. I use them at work a lot. And I made this stuff a little bit matte by sanding it because it was perfectly clear. And then I put it up on the wall, and behind there I put some LEDs. These are just a few LEDs that I had left over, but soon after this I will put some proper really bright LEDs in there, so it's much brighter backlit. Feel free to let me know what you think about this idea. I know a lot of people use French cleats for this, but I don't think it's that necessary to switch around your tools ever. Because whether they are on the left or the right or the top or the bottom, you can still reach them from the tool wall, so I don't think I will switch my tools around a lot. At the bottom I put this little tray for the screwdrivers, and I cut this on my CNC. There will be a separate video about these, and the files are up online so you can download them for free. So I put down all my tools finally, and that made working in the workshop a lot easier because they're not lying around and they're easily accessible. So if I want to mount a tool, I just mark a hole, pre-drill it, and then insert a screw. And the screw just holds up fine. It's just normal wood screw in a plastic. And for some tools I made special holders, like for this, because the calipers are difficult to hold. And yeah, I'm quite happy with this. And while I was at it, I also added this little file storage thing that I built, and this will also be up for you to download with the new video that's coming out. And at the same time, I got really lucky in an auction and I got this drill press. It's a German-made drill press from 1998, so it's exactly 20 years old. And it came in all right condition. It was quite dirty and it had a little bit of play in the quill, and I'll show you how I got rid of that. First, I cleaned everything with the pressure washer outside, and then I gave it a nice coat of paint, white at the top again and black at the bottom. This is what I had left over from my hydrofoil build, which I'm going to finish this winter, hopefully. And for the quill, I just drilled these holes and tapped them and put screws in there. So they slightly put pressure onto the quill so it doesn't shake anymore. And that really works well, so it doesn't wobble. And I also needed some shelves to put up on the wall for all my spare parts and larger objects. And I didn't want to make them myself because I just didn't have the time. You know, installing this whole workshop took a few weeks to get everything done, and I need this to be operational. So I just bought these in a hardware store and they were 60 euros each. So I'm quite happy with them. They have this nice interlocking system. You can assemble them really quickly, and I think it took me about 3 hours for all 3 shelves. And I mounted them at the wall, and that made the workshop much less messier. And I really like them. I think they're better than building something out of wood. And at the same time I was clearing out my old workshop, and while I was at the scrapyard throwing away some old stuff, I found these little drawers here. They were perfectly fine. Somebody else must have used them for little components in the workshop as well, because they were labeled with dowels, and I mounted them underneath the workbench. So these are just perfect find, and I used this crack jig thingy to mount drawer handles and to get accurate spacing for the screws. That was really nice. I got them for free. They were waste anyway, and they're perfect to store all kinds of tabs and bits and screws and drills in there. So yeah, that was a good day, even though I spent it at the scrapyard. And I also got this lathe at an auction, which is not that bad. I really need to clean it, but it works and I need to build a good base for it. So the workshop is done for now. I will improve it over time, but if you want, I can give you a little tour and hopefully I can start building some new projects here. So let me give you a little tour of all the tools in here. This is my bench grinder, and I made this little fixture for sharpening drill bits. This is not my idea, I took it from some other YouTuber, but it's a great idea. Up here I've got my cordless drills, or at least some of them. 2 more are left at the old workshop. And I also got these chargers hooked up all the time, so they're always charging. Up here we've got the miter saw stations with some storage underneath. And this is something I want to change if I have some time later on. So over here I want to build one big cabinet with lots of wooden drawers, you know, something proper sturdy, like a kitchen cabinet for all kinds of stuff, components, tools. And that's a future project, not for now, but it's functional, it works. And above this area I've got these little things for screws. These little boxes, and these are attached with this long steel bar. I can buy them in a hardware store here in Germany. And these are made for hanging up drawer slides. These are like metal French cleats. And I've got all the screws in here. They're always handy, easy to organize. And these are the most common screws that I have. Up here I've got all my cans, spray cans, lubricants, that kind of stuff. And here's more delicate stuff like dial indicators and some vices, some jigs. Over here I've got some more delicate stuff that I don't want to get dirty. Here's my tool wall. It's just partially loaded at the bottom. The top is still a little bit unorganized. I'm gonna change that someday. Up here is all my small screws. So they're organized in these bins, and I've got about 30 to 40 screws of each length and each type. So it's really useful for me when I make some prototypes, because at work, you probably know I'm an engineer, and this is where I make prototypes. So I need all kinds of screws to be available, because I can't wait around for a day to go to a hardware store or to order screws. I just need them available. Up here is some old Bose speaker, and this little cable goes to this black box, and this is a Bluetooth connector. And this Bluetooth thing connects to my phone, and then I can listen to music. Here I've got some clamps, just small ones. Here I've got all my files, and here in the corner are my 2 drill presses. This is a new drill press, and in this small one I just have a chamfering bit in here, because this is not very powerful. It's good enough for a chamfering bit, so I don't have to switch drills all the time if I just want to chamfer something. That's really useful, and these golf balls are the most ergonomic handle I think you can have for a drill press. And let's move on. Up here we've got the tools. These are all kind of tools that I can't hang otherwise but with magnetic strip. And I got this from Lidl, I think, for €3, so that's really good value, and it holds these tools very nicely. I don't use them a lot. Down here we've got the pliers, which I use most often. Got the hammer section, one is missing, it's in the garden right now. Here we've got all the spanners, some ratchet spanners, and a second set of spanners. And I've got a third one, because oftentimes I lose one and I can't find it for a few weeks before I find it again. Here are my angles, precision angle, another precision angle, and this is a welding angle. It's good to have different sizes. My chisels, stapler, calipers, some more screwdrivers. These are finer screwdrivers, I don't use them often. The only plane I have, and a saw. Down here, this is it's a disc sander. Some people call it a relisher, I think. Friends of mine call it that way. It's an awesome tool to, if you have a piece of steel, you just put it on here and make it a round edge. But the pain with this is that to change the sandpaper, you have to take these 2 screws off, and underneath you have to take this piece of plastic off, which is a real pain. So I will soon build a strip sander, a really long one, a belt grinder. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna build. And right now the vise is just mounted with these 2 things. I can't come up with the name right now. I need to find a good place for this, because it's not a good idea to drill a vise into strip laminated wood, because these glue joints come apart very easily, I found. Yeah, this is my CNC now on the right side, and this is kind of the edge of my workshop. If you look at it from this way, that line is the edge. This is the CNC that I built a few years ago. I built it from scratch, and it's a good working CNC, I can work with it. It works well. Would be nice if I had a bigger motor on here. The spindle is not that powerful. It just has 1000 watts, and I would like something a little more powerful. But I think I would do that if I build a new CNC. Underneath the CNC, this is where all my clamps are right now. Company Wolfcraft sent me all these clamps, which was really nice of them to celebrate the new workshop. Thank you for that. And I need to build something on here to hang them up against the wall again. But so far they're okay down here. This is that. Oh, and underneath the workbench I've got some more screws, of course. This is all full of screws, and this with miscellaneous stuff. This is my table saw. It's a really good saw, I have to say. It's precise and it's straight, it's all square and parallel. So that's the most important thing about these table saws, I think. and it's standing on top of this little cart that I can wheel into the middle, and I can saw down here. And if I need dust collection, it's right above it, up here. And now to the other side of the workshop, this is my bandsaw, again with the homemade stand. I've made a little video about this. You can watch it in the description. I put a link down there. And this is useful, you know. Up here I've got scraps, and down there's aluminium scraps, and in the middle I've got some spare saw blades. And up there I've got dust collection. Well, this is just dust in the air, so it's air filters for dust. And here I've got all my tapes. It's nice to have them accessible. And if you build something like this, it's easy to build. Make sure they have a little bit of an angle, otherwise they fall down all the time. And on the other side I've got, let me make this sharp, my new lathe, some shelves, little IKEA cabinet, here storage for long aluminium profiles. This is something very special, it's from U-Tool. It's still packaged. It's a track saw track for Makita saws. Not Makita, for Festool saws. I think they also make them for Makita. So they make like off-brand track saw slides. That's very nice, I got them from them. And here are my two workbenches with some products for customers on it right now, prototypes. This is one workbench, the one you've seen in the video, and this is the second one I built, and this is also my router table with the crack jig router table lift, which is really nice. I put them in there really badly because I needed to do it quickly and I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. Yeah, that's that, and I've got two different sizes, which is nice because sometimes you have small things like these electronics, you want a bigger table, and sometimes you have big stuff like maybe a small nightstand, you can put it on here and work on that. Yeah, this is for the dog, but I don't even have a dog, but I've got a water bowl for it. Yeah, and in the background you see my trailer with all the aluminium that I recently bought for some more products that I'm building. Yeah, and this is the most important spot. This is where I rest and where I sit down to think about problems that I come across in the workshop, because it happens often. And this was a prototype for something that I can't tell you about. It's just a giant gear, and now it's my coffee table. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this gives you a better idea of how my workspace is like. And I hope I can make a lot more videos on here, especially with the hydrofoil, which is coming soon. Hydrofoil is in storage right now, but I'm gonna get it out very soon, as soon as I'm finished with these two things. And then I start building the motor and start testing the motor in water. Probably not here, probably upstairs in the garden. So if it burns outside. Thanks for watching, guys. And also big thanks to my Patreons. They help make this possible. You know, all these lights up here, they did cost a lot of money, and I just put them up for YouTube basically, because one light or two would be enough for this workshop. Thanks to them, you know, a little bit always helps out. And if you like these kind of videos, also watch all the other videos that I have on this channel and subscribe and share it with your friends. And thanks for watching, guys. My name is Max Maker and I make all kinds of stuff.